Hi, welcome. It is December 16th, and we're going to be pretty much wrapping up Second Timothy today. There'll be just a little section at the end that Heather can touch on tomorrow. But in today's passage, it really, in a different translation, opens up with the words therefore, though we don't see it in the chronological Bible that I'm reading in the New Living Testament. But whenever you see the word therefore, you always want to go and look at what happened or what was said previous to that. In this case, it was Paul speaking about Onesiphorus, who attended him and served him and sought him out. And if we remember the name Onesimus in Philemon, who was the slave, and we remember that word meant, or that name meant, profitable, Onesiphorus is the same kind of term, comes from the same root, but this time it means a bringer of profit. And Paul is really telling Timothy that Onesiphorus was very much someone who brought a great deal of profit, of help to Paul, and was very profitable for Paul. And that discussion, as Paul relates that to Timothy, got me to thinking about my life. Am I profitable to others? Am I profitable to God? Am I profitable to my family and friends, to my church? Would they say that I am profitable to them? And I think that's one of the exciting things to think about when we think about how we are as followers of Christ, and are we on mission and working in God's kingdom, is are we bringing profit to those around us? And when we do, that profitability has a ripple effect that extends far beyond just the immediate circumstance or the immediate task that we do in serving someone else. And so Timothy's getting some encouragement to understand that when you serve others, and when you teach and encourage and help others around you, they're going to go out and do the same. And that's how ministry happens, and that's how we become profitable, when we don't worry about ourselves, but we look to others and see how we can help them. M. Scott Peck's book, The Road Less Traveled, begins with the word life is difficult. And Paul continues and follows up this first discussion with the idea that ministry is difficult, whether you're a young pastor or whether you're a follower of Christ whose calling has been something totally different. The point is to be obedient to God's teachings. You are going to find difficulty. You are going to butt up against the culture and the world. If you want to look at some of those teachings, I'll just give you a couple passages, and you can check on some of Jesus' teachings about what it means to follow him. And they are Matthew 5, verses 39 to 44, and then Matthew 6, verses 19 to 26, and verse 46. If you just look at those, you'll see some of those teachings that, if we truly are obedient to them, will bring friction and sometimes hardship in our lives in this world. I'm wondering, though, if instead we often figure out elaborate explanations and rationalizations to allow us to be disobedient, so that we don't struggle with that, so that we don't take the road less traveled, so that we do go down the easier path. Whether it's we're going to send others to do the work, or whether we think that all we're asked to do is come to church on Sunday and give our offering in the plate and we're good to go, or even in our families and in our lives with our friends, when a situation arises where there needs to be some confrontation, some admonishment, some accountability, and instead we say, well, we shouldn't judge others. Whatever it is, we tend to shrink back from the obedience God calls us to. In order to do that, we need to be disciplined. And one commentator said, if you're going to be obedient to Christ, you develop discipline as God builds it in you by the power of His Spirit. And some of the characteristics of that are being able to delay gratification, being able to accept responsibility, being able to be dedicated to the truth and not compromise, and being able to effectively balance situations and be flexible in situations and not so rigid. That's what being obedient to God's call is all about. And that's how we then become profitable in the kingdom to others. Paul continues through chapter 3 talking about this, and I think the obvious question in America then comes up is, why is Christianity so comfortable in America if God is telling us here that that when you are obedient to Christ, you're going to create friction, And the reality is there's two thoughts. There's two options. Number one, it's just that the world loves Christianity so much in our country that we fit in so well and we're so well accepted that we don't have any problems. Either that, or it's because we have accommodated and compromised our beliefs to such an extent that it allows us to fit in with the culture. And I'm afraid it's the latter, though I think times are changing, and we as believers and followers of Christ are finding it's harder and harder to just fit in and accommodate, and God really, I think, is calling us to stand up and be counted. Another thing, those Paul references two people, Jannes and Jambres, from the Old Testament. I just want you to know, as false teachers, their names don't appear anywhere in Scripture. Scholars will say that they're probably Egyptian magicians who were in Pharaoh's court. Exodus 7 verses 11 offers some reference to that. But Paul is really saying those types of people with those false teachings, they're the types that we need to avoid. Don't be listening to them. And as he's doing all of this, just to bring this to a close today, he's really telling Timothy that there needs to be some sense of urgency to your ministry, and it's going to be hard work, but learn to be profitable, be disciplined, be obedient to Christ, and then you will be profitable to those around you, and it will have an effect. And what's so touching to me is, as we'll hear his final words here in this letter to Timothy tomorrow, as Heather talks about it, is at this point, Paul, as we know, is now in prison, in chains, no longer sitting in a comfortable house setting. And as he dictates these words and Luke is writing them down, he probably knows he's just a few days away from his execution. And so this idea of a sense of urgency, and this idea as he writes it that I've fought the good fight, I've run the race, tells us that he knows the end is near, but he wants to get in some final words to Timothy and encourage him along the way. And he is undaunted by his own situation, but rather he is obedient to Christ and provides an example for Timothy and for us. He has been someone who has been profitable to the Lord and to others because he has been faithful to the calling and obedient to Jesus Christ. There's a model for us in our lives today. So my challenge today to me and to you is go out, be profitable, not to yourself, but to others. And for all that you do, give praise to God. And we'll look forward to talking with you again as we're winding down now. And I will make one final comment over the next couple days in blog postings. I'll try to elaborate for you a little bit on what I'm planning to do as we hit January this coming year. So have a great day. We'll talk to you again.